Hello coin lovers! Welcome back to Old Charles, the channel where we explore the fascinating world of coins, their history, and their value in today's market. In this video, we're diving deep into the United States Kennedy half dollar from 1974. We'll talk about its history, design, condition, errors, and of course, its current value for collectors. So, if you have one of these coins at home, make sure to watch till the end. You might be holding something more valuable than you think. The Kennedy half dollar was first introduced in 1964, following the tragic assassination of President John F. Kennedy in November 1963. The U.S. Mint quickly designed this coin as a tribute to the late president, and it replaced the Franklin half dollar. By 1971, the silver content in circulating half dollars was removed, and the coin was struck in a copper-nickel clad composition instead of 40% silver. That means by the time we get to 1974, the half dollar was already a standard copper-nickel coin meant for circulation. Even though millions were minted, the Kennedy half dollar was not heavily used in everyday transactions. Most people preferred quarters and dollar bills, and half dollars often ended up being hoarded or sitting in bank vaults. Because of this, many 1974 Kennedy half dollars survived in relatively good condition. Now let's look at the design of the 1974 Kennedy half dollar. Features a left-facing portrait of President John F. Kennedy, designed by Gilroy Roberts. Above his head, the word Liberty is inscribed, with "In God We Trust" and a year star 1974 star below. Designed by Frank Gasparo, it shows the presidential seal, a heraldic eagle with a shield on its chest, holding an olive branch and arrows, symbolizing peace and strength. Surrounding the eagle are 50 stars, representing the 50 U.S. states. It's a beautiful and powerful design that still holds respect among collectors today. In 1974, the Kennedy half dollar was struck at 3 different mints: Philadelphia Mint, No Mint Mark ***, over 201 million coins produced; Denver Mint, D Mint Mark ***, over 79 million coins produced; San Francisco Mint, S Mint Mark ***. These were special proof coins, made for collectors, with a mintage of about 2.6 million. The mint mark is found on the obverse side, just below Kennedy's neck, near the truncation of his portrait. Now, let's get to the exciting part, the value. Circulated condition ***. Most 1974 half dollars you find in pocket change or loose rolls are worth 50 cents, just face value, because so many were made. Uncirculated condition, MS-60, MS-65 ***, coins that are bright, clean, and free from heavy wear can be worth anywhere between $2 to $15. High-grade gems, MS-66, MS-67, these are much scarcer, and values can jump to $50, $100, or even higher, depending on the grading service and demand. Proof coins, 1974, S*** proof versions made in San Francisco for collectors usually range from $5 to $15, but deep cameo examples can fetch higher prices. But here's the interesting part, error coins and special varieties can be worth a lot more. Collectors love error coins, and the 1974 Kennedy half dollar has a few notable ones. 1974, D double die obverse, DDO***, one of the most famous errors, where the doubling is visible in inscriptions "In God We Trust" and "Liberty." Depending on condition, this coin can be worth anywhere from $40 to several $100. Off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or die breaks ***, rare but valuable, often ranging from $50 to several $100, depending on severity and eye appeal. So, always check your coins carefully. You never know when you might spot one of these rare varieties. Condition plays a huge role in determining value. Collectors and grading services like PCGS and NGC use a numerical scale from 1 to 70, known as the Sheldon scale. Circulated coins show wear and usually grade between very fine, VF20, and extremely fine, XF40. Uncirculated coins, MS-60 and above, show no wear but may have bag marks or scratches. MS-66 and higher are rare and highly sought after, especially for the 1974 issue. If you think you have a high-grade example, it might be worth sending it for professional grading, since certified coins often sell for much more at auction. So, to wrap it up, the 1974 Kennedy half dollar may not be extremely rare, but it carries a lot of history, and certain varieties like the 1974 D double die can make it quite valuable. Most are worth face value, but in high grades or with errors, they can be worth much more to collectors. If you have one at home, check the mint mark, inspect it for doubling, and consider its condition carefully. Who knows, you could be holding a hidden treasure. Before we talk about the value of the 1974 Kennedy half dollar, let's take a deep dive into its history, because this coin isn't just metal, it's a piece of America's story. The Kennedy half dollar was first minted in 1964, just a few months after the shocking assassination of President John F. Kennedy in November 1963. The entire nation was grieving, and people were looking for ways to honor the memory of the young president who symbolized hope and progress. Within days of his death, officials from the U.S. Mint and the Treasury Department began discussing the idea of placing Kennedy's portrait on a circulating coin. First, there was debate about which coin should carry Kennedy's image. The quarter was suggested, but Jacqueline Kennedy, the First Lady, preferred the half-dollar. She thought the larger coin would better capture her husband's likeness. At that time, the Franklin half-dollar had been in circulation since 1948, but it was quietly retired to make way for the Kennedy design. The Mint worked quickly, and by March 1964, the first Kennedy half-dollars were released to the public. The response was overwhelming. People lined up at banks, and within hours, entire supplies were sold out. Many Americans hoarded these coins, keeping them as souvenirs rather than spending them. This tradition of hoarding would follow the Kennedy half-dollar for decades to come. From 1964 to 1970, the half-dollar was made with 90% silver, 1964 only, and then 40% silver, 1965 to 1970. But due to rising silver prices and the growing cost of minting, the U.S. Mint made a big change starting in 1971. The Kennedy half-dollar was no longer struck in silver for circulation. Instead, it was made in a copper-nickel-clad composition, the same type of metal blend used in dimes and quarters. By the time we get to 1974, the Kennedy half-dollar had already established itself as a coin that wasn't commonly seen in day-to-day transactions. While over 280 million half-dollars were minted that year between Philadelphia and Denver, most Americans didn't use them regularly. People preferred quarters, dimes, and dollar bills for everyday spending, and the half-dollar slowly became more of a collector's item and a novelty than a practical piece of change. An interesting historical note. In 1974, the U.S. Mint also conducted experimental trials for a new coin, the Eisenhower dollar in aluminum, but the Kennedy half-dollar continued in its clad format withoout any major design changes. It was a year of stability for the half-dollar series, though era varieties, like the famous 1974 D double die obverse, did emerge. The Kennedy half-dollar remained symbolic. For many Americans, even in the 1970s, it was a reminder of Kennedy's leadership, his famous speeches, and his tragic death. It represented not only currency but also a piece of national memory. Fast forward to today, and while half-dollars are still minted, they are not widely used in circulation. Most are made for collectors through the U.S. Mint's special sets. The 1974 issue, therefore, stands as an important coin from the era when the half-dollar was still mass-produced for circulation, even though its actual use was declining. In short, the history of the 1974 Kennedy half-dollar connects us to the larger story of America in the 1960s and 1970s, a story of loss, change, and commemoration. And that's what makes even a common coin like this historically significant. Now let's talk about something very important when it comes to coin collecting: the condition of your 1974 Kennedy half-dollar. This single factor can make the difference between a coin that's worth only its face value of 50 cents and one that could sell for hundreds of dollars at auction. Collectors and grading experts use what's called the Sheldon grading scale, which ranges from 1 to 70. A grade of 1 is the lowest, meaning the coin is heavily worn and barely recognizable, while a grade of 70 means the coin is in perfect condition, with no flaws visible even under magnification. Let's break it down so you know exactly what to look for in your 1974 half-dollar in these grades. The coin has been used heavily in everyday transactions. You'll see a lot of wear. Kennedy's hair details will be mostly flat, the lettering may be faint, and the eagle on the reverse will look worn down. At this stage, the coin is really just worth face value, about 50 cents. Here, the main details are still visible, but much of Kennedy's hair is flat and worn. The eagle on the reverse shows only the major features. Again, value is close to face value. The coin still has clear features, but the wear is obvious. Some of the finer details in Kennedy's hair and the eagle's feathers will be missing. These might sell for around 50 cents to $1, just slightly above face value for collectors who want a worn example. Now we're getting into better condition coins. The wear is light, Kennedy's portrait has more detail, and the eagle on the reverse is much sharper. These may sell for $1 to $2, depending on the buyer. And this grade, the coin shows very little wear, just some rubbing on the highest points of Kennedy's hair or cheek. Most of the luster, that original shiny surface from the mint, is still intact. These coins start to become more interesting for collectors. Values can range from $2 to $4 depending on eye appeal. Now we enter the mint state category, which is where collectors get really excited. These coins have never been used in circulation. They still look fresh from the mint, though they may have bag marks or small scratches from the minting and transport process. Coins with dull luster, noticeable marks, or slight unattractive spots. Still uncirculated, but not very eye-catching. Value around $3 to $5. These coins look much nicer. They have strong luster, fewer contact marks, and a more appealing overall look. These might sell for $6 to $15. A beautiful example with only very minor marks that are barely noticeable. At this grade, a 1974 Kennedy half dollar can be worth $25 to $50. Now we're talking rare territory. Only a small percentage of coins survive in this condition. They have blazing luster, nearly flawless surfaces, and incredible eye appeal. Values can jump to $100, $200, or even more at auctions. Keep in mind that the Philadelphia, no mint mark, and Denver, D, issues had huge mintages, so finding them in circulated condition is very easy. But finding them in MS66 or higher is much harder, which is why collectors will pay premium prices for them. Now, we can't forget about the proof coins struck at the San Francisco Mint. Proofs are specially made for collectors using polished dies and planchets. They have a mirror-like surface and often display what's called cameo contrast, where Kennedy's portrait looks frosted against a shiny background. With strong contrast, can sell for $20 to $50, depending on grade. A perfect proof 70 deep cameo, certified by PCGS or NGC, could reach even higher prices, since collectors love perfection. You might wonder, why does condition matter so much if the coin is the same year, same design, and same metal? Well, it all comes down to collector psychology. Most people kept 1974 half dollars in drawers or jars, so circulated examples are everywhere. But truly flawless coins, those with glowing luster, no scratches, and great eye appeal, are very hard to find. Collectors chase after those high-grade coins because they want the very best examples for their sets. That's what drives up the price. If you believe your 1974 Kennedy half dollar is in high grade, you might consider sending it to a professional grading service like PCGS, NGC, or ANAX. A certified grade not only protects your coin in a tamper-proof holder, but also increases its market value, since buyers trust professional grading more than personal opinion. For example, an uncertified coin that looks like MS66 might only sell for $20 to $30 privately. But if it's graded and slabbed by PCGS as an MS66, it might fetch $100 or more at auction. So, when you look at your 1974 Kennedy half dollar, don't just check the year and mint mark. Pay close attention to its condition. Look at the luster, the details in Kennedy's hair, the sharpness of the eagle, and whether there are scratches or marks. The difference between a coin worth face